Johnny Fontana, Real World INFJ, back with another video.
For me, self-confidence comes because I didn't have it. And I think anytime you meet somebody like yourself or myself who might now appear self-confident, it's because I really had to find tools and resources because I was so insecure and shy and introverted. So I had to find techniques and resources to build that up in me.
Good morning. This one is going to be a good video. It's going to be, I think, maybe long, half hour, and I'm going to use a lot of different supportive videos and other information so that you can have a better understanding. And I think this is going to tie everything all in together, because for the past couple of weeks, I made a few different videos, but I didn't know how to basically put them together or how to like sort of tie them all in.
And it's just like a popularity contest. And so it brought out maybe the worst or the best in my personality, which was like, I'm going to take this on and I'm going to use myself as the battering ram. So I'm going to make it about me, knowing it's not about me, which is weird because people can't actually process that.
So recently, yesterday, I said, you know what? Well, no, for the past 2 years, since 2014, or 3 years now, I've been sort of disappointed at the MBTI INFJ community. I've been having questions like, why is it like this? Why am I only finding a certain type of INFJ? Because I don't involve myself with other MBTI types because I just don't relate, and I don't find that I need to figure them out, because unless I'm dealing with you, but why am I going to figure everyone's type out? That's not me unless I'm using you. Which will then I'll explain to you the different types of INFJs, the 3 types of INFJs to work in theory. But it all makes sense though. So, recently I just been frustrated, and I was like, man, I'm frustrated because I can't find anyone that I relate to on my level. Like, I find the INFJs, like, we get each other, I get you to a certain extent, but then I've experienced other things. My life has taken a different course, which then has allowed me to see things differently, and some of my functions are used differently. Then I sat back and I'm like, man, stop being so frustrated at the underdeveloped. Right? Because I'm like thinking, man, we need to separate ourselves. And this is where the intuition comes in. I'm to the point where, because I've been on Reddit, okay, recently been on Reddit. And then all my energies has been to the point where I'm like, man, like, why are you on Reddit for? Because you're frustrated. But I'm just keep on coming back because I'm learning. I'm trying to figure things out, right? Understand. And I'm like, oh, okay, now here's an aha moment. We need to separate. And that's why I made a couple of videos between how technology is affecting how, we interact now. Because people don't understand the real world. For INFJs, real world is very important. Because I can say we are. I speak for me. But again, I'm not technically savvy. I'm not SI. I'm not an ISFJ. I don't understand complex. I don't understand IT, computer engineering, math. I don't compute that. I see the big picture. That's why I don't understand the details. That's why if I'm doing, like I'm not swerving. But yeah, that's why I don't. When I was in I was taking an auto mechanics class, I kept on telling them I need to understand what this is for. Where some of the other students, they were able to get it, here and there, understand what goes with what this, that, and that's why I understood that some of the mechanics, even when I was taking my radiology class, some of the mechanics, they understood how the bodily functions interacted and connected because they were able to see, the interconnecting, whatever, the details. For me, I need to understand the big picture. Why is this piece of machinery, or what is it used for? And then from there I can go and double down on the details. So that's why I say that we use our functions differently depending on what we're exposed to and so forth and so on.
The secret key is to be able to shift that identity. 90, 100, 120. So some of the ways, strategies to do that are very simple. One is let's just say financially, you're a 200 degreer and I'm an 80 degreer. If I'm in your proximity over and over and over and over again, you will heat my identity up somewhere in between mine and yours to 150 degrees. Same in fitness, same in everything. So the more you can layer in multiple people, the stronger and stronger that force is. So that changes our thermostat through association. It's a huge, 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 huge thing. People say you are who the 5 people you hang around. This is why. They adjust your thermostat.
So, I lost my point of where I was going before, but this goes to this point, which is I came on Reddit and I've been doing the research, and now I'm coming back to it. And I was like, man, I think we need to separate. There needs to be a separation, because I cannot be so frustrated at these individuals, because I'm like, man, I come to and you even see other posters making a post saying, hey, you can't come here just to only find yourself and this, that, and the third, and be depressed, whatever. You need to be able to move forward. And then that's when I was like, yeah, it's exactly what I was thinking. But my intuition was picking up. I was like, man, there needs to be something else. And then from there, someone actually made an INFJ and 30 over Reddit, subreddit. And again, but I was thinking this before, because I was thinking there needs to be this. I was thinking future, okay, based on my intuition. It had nothing to do with the S. I'm not here. I'm not, when I say real world, I'm talking about real world for us, because we're feelings, right? So we need to be able to be in the real world and be able to navigate the real world and touch and understand human dynamics and understand how to deal with people, right? So when I say the real world, it's not necessarily not dealing with the abstract or intuition, but understanding how to deal with people, understanding the different persuasive techniques that you can use, and understanding how to navigate with different personality types, right? And not to be overwhelmed all the time, right? That's what the real world is. So there you go, the INFJ over 30 came on. And then, but still, I'm like, the INFJ 30 is not doing its thing. I see people asking questions about, when you were, abused, how did you heal? And so it becomes just like the old phase of the sort of done and gone version of the MBTI. Essentially the same thing. So I'm like, man, I don't get it. So maybe I'm not. So let's go ahead and type me. So then now someone comes up and says, hey, we created this recently, the other day. Again, but remember, I've talked to you about before, the 99 connected, and then all my energies, and then all of a sudden, what are the chances of this happening all recently? Okay, because of my inability to see these things being involved, and I know certain things happening, and I'm like, man, this needs to happen, and then all of a sudden these things connect. So that's why I say I have a whole lot of coincidences in my life, which I'll make another video on that. So that's why it has nothing to do with really being psychic, but I have these connections and I have these coincidences based on things that I'm like, man, this should be happening, future thinking. So I went ahead and typed a whole list of questions and this, that, and third, right? And then I made it. But I started off with saying this, right? I said, I'm 40, okay, but I look 31. I said, I'm struggling to understand why the INFJ community is in its current state, okay? Has nothing to do with me in that sense. I'm actually more, I'm more concerned about the others, right? And why they are like that and why they're not being helped, okay? I have recently been working on a theory. In my opinion, there are 3 types of INFJs. Okay, there is the academic, which they have NI. We all have NI, but they prefer using logic. Okay, the TI. Then you have the spiritualists, okay, the ones who are into the symbolism, spiritual, the ones who actually are more a little bit more prophetic, like a Gandhi, like even those on YouTubers who are, you always see like very just like spiritual pictures and so forth of like a boy and the moon and stars and a wolf, like those types, okay? They use the NI and the FE, and they're very, like they live between the inner and outer worlds. They have like very lucid dreams and all that stuff, right? Those are those type of people. Then you have the field operatives.
I've always approached it more like a performance artist, in that I'm after the bigger message of how work intersects with fame, intersects with personal feeling, intersects with personality, and how people perceive things. Like, I like all that weird Andy Kaufman uncomfortability. That's part of my attraction.
Right.
So I've been willing to use myself as the battering ram, which is how I end up becoming a meme.
Right.
Because people latch onto these personalities I've created, which of course are ancillary to my real personality.
Right.
But they don't necessarily want to give me credit that I'm a sort of controller of the forces at play. So if I say something dumb, people assume that I'm dumb. It's hard for them to assume that I'm saying something dumb on purpose because I want a reaction.
Right. Yeah.
Those like me, we're not academic, okay? We're not really thinkers, we're not good, we're not really spiritualists, okay? So we're basically, or we're born into a system by where we take one for the team. We're like essentially the guinea pigs. We go out there because we're like in the real world, right? So because we want to figure things out. So like we're good friends. We're not like as a teenager in high school, I knew everyone. Okay? Everyone knew me, but I wasn't close with anyone. So which means that like the jocks would be like, hey, you know, Johnny Fontana, or like even when the jocks see my brothers in from high school because they still live in town. Hey, aren't you Johnny Fontana's brother? You know, like I don't know where. Like, how do you, like, you were popular? Like, I have no idea how these people know me because I never had a conversation with them. Like, I was never really deep. It was all surface, right? But it was from the jocks to the academic types, the more reserved. I would approach you because I felt energy. I'm like, oh man, maybe she needs a little bit of comforting. So I would talk to you. I would, you know, so I would be able to mimic my positions between everyone. So I was like very here in the middle, balanced.
It can cause you to pigeonhole yourself and be closed-minded. And it can cause you to miss out on opportunities because instead of developing the willingness to mature and adapt, right? You know how many people I run into from a myers-briggs perspective, like, we can't tell that you're not a feeler. I know that because I present myself a certain way when I'm in certain crowds. I know how to move in and out of different behaviors that are related to personality types, but I'm in control of that, right? My default setting is probably not so much, but guess what? If you practice something long enough over and over and over again, it overrides the default setting.
So basically, you know, so it was like that. But I also wanted stimulation. So again, my years took on. So by where I evolved. So like when I became 19, I was like, man, like this is not working for me. Like I don't understand the bigger picture of things. Like why am I here in college for? Like I hate college, I hate school. I can't study. I'm very bad at it. What am I doing here? Like I want to see the world. I want to have a bigger understanding of what I enjoyed. And I went into the military, but it was an intuitive thing. I just went in there because I knew I would be able to travel. I knew I would be able to get exposed and so forth and so on. And then I ended up in Japan. And then but while I was in the military, because I was reserved and grew up in an old-fashioned, you know, what do you call that again? Childhood, or I was exposed to a very reserved and old-fashioned upbringing. My parents didn't allow me to watch TV. I couldn't go out, so I wasn't exposed to a lot of the stuff that some of the guys in the military that I met were exposed to. Like they knew about cars and this, that, and the third, about life, whatever. And I was like, man, like I don't know any of this stuff. So I was very sheltered. So it wasn't until I started experiencing all these things, boom, 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 and until after the fact, everything came to, because my TI is so last, because I was constantly because my SC was what my TI took a back seat and my SE took a front seat, because it was like man, like you're being exposed to the harshness of the A-type personalities. You need to be able to like fight these guys off, and you know. So then it would be like a tussle between my SE and my. I was like always the panic person say don't use the SE and SE, but because I'm more involved now, I better understand it. This is where my TI comes in because it kicks in the ass. Remember, I'm telling you, at first when I started, I was like NITI. I don't get it. I don't like that. Because I need to explain and teach you the bigger picture. That's why I'm using all this stuff. That's why I had to learn it. But it was a gradual process. So I'm in the military, and I'm like, man, like these guys are into weapons and this, and I'm from New York City. We never went fishing. I never did hunting. I never did any of that. I never used a weapon. I never casted. Even to this day, I haven't casted a fishing net. So I'm like, man, like my NI, I'm trying to figure these people out. But then like they're coming at me this hard way, and like I gotta use my SE because it's basically like fight or die. Like you have to basically learn these guys. So I'm like, okay, my SE is I'm being exposed to these guys, boom, boom, and then bam, and then FE, and then like I feel, oh man, like I notice you, like you're sort of like not as, you know, strong. Hey, maybe I'll come to you because, you know, these guys, the A-type personalities, they're so whatever. So let me go ahead and get with you, and then now together we'll fight these guys, and you know, but just internally. So after all that, you build all this, right? The SE just building, and you come out and you say, this is how you guys are. So you're the type. You're the ESTJs. The reason why you came in here is because you weren't good at school anyway. But you're good. You're not good with sitting there and understanding like all the details of schools. But let me give you a car and you'll figure everything out. Let me give you a weapon. Let me give you anything that has to do with your hands, and you'll figure it out. Like you can solder things and put things together. And when I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about electrical, and that's why you got on the ASVAB test, you had high scores in your mechanical, and I had great scores in my administration, right? Because I understood people, I understood how to do certain things. I'm like, now I'm putting these things together now. Now I know how to deal with you because I've learned to boom, boom. So, and then now from there, I'm like, again, I'm explaining to you, but you're like, wow, you're so detailed. The reason why I'm detailed is because I'm trying to explain to you because I want you to understand the bigger picture, because I know that going forward, you're going to ask me all these questions and you're not going to understand me. So that's why I have to fill you in all the details. So I get in there, and then, you know, from there, I left, and I lived in 7 different countries, exposed. But while I'm exposed, because I'm a slow learner, I'm like, man, what's going on? I don't understand. Blah, blah, blah. How is everyone able to function better than me? Blah, blah, blah. Like I feel like I'm alone because everyone else is better than me, and I'm like, blah, 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 blah. Then I come out, and I'm like, now I see, you know. But again, still, I'm not good with the technical and all that stuff. I'm good with the feeling. That's why for me now, as a leader now, skipping through all my experiences, just skipping. Now, I can now sit back, even in my current job, and be like, yeah, you were the type that went through go. And that's why the camaraderie is so low and the morale is so low, because you're not thinking about people's feelings. So that's why they come to me and they say, man, I never knew anyone could understand or they would think. And I say, I got you. I understand you. And then so for me, I go, because I'm a leader, I come back around and says, okay, these people are saying that they don't understand, aren't appreciated, and they feel that their morale is low. So what we need to do about it? Because I understand the bigger picture. And they said, okay. And I have my battles because they still don't want to get it. They're like, oh, but I don't understand. Why would they do this? So if you bring up a situation, why would this person, you know, throw his life away and this, that, and the third? You're just thinking about why he would throw his life away. You don't understand what this person has been exposed to and what caused them to go there. And you're not understanding that he's not thinking about throwing his life away. He's just thinking about that instant gratification there. He's thinking about how he's going to feel and get away from whatever feeling that he's experiencing right now, because he's far away from his family, all this stuff right here. But you don't get it because you're the T-type. And the ENTJ try to, like this ENTJ try to type me, oh, this is not how NI works. You're ISFJ because you're detail oriented, whatever. But ma'am, or whoever you are, I in the beginning explained to you I am developed. I have developed my SE because while in the military, you have to be attentive to detail. But guess what? Even today, unless it's for work, I am late for everything. I don't have a planner at all. You're like, man, you used to be a Marine. You used to be a detail going into guy. You're sharp. Yeah, that's what you see here. But at home, no. But I only show you what you are allowed to see. But in the back, no, I'm late for everything. My dates, my wife, everywhere we need to go. We're supposed to leave at 7 o'clock. We're leaving at 7:30. Okay, because I'm late. I'm not a detail oriented. I don't see the complex and this, that, and the third. I'm not SI at all.
What are some specific moments where identity came to your rescue?
So identity is the governor on our lives. It's the invisible force that no one understands, and once they do understand and get a hold of it, their life can change.
So we're gonna get into the 3 different types of INFJs, okay? But I want to just break down this edit for you. So I explained to her everything that I've gone through, why I've gone through, and how like my SI was my SC, and how I'm able to understand the dynamics of cities. It's because as a police officer, that's what you did. You were around the cities. You had to know the cities, the blocks. You had to know city grids. And here's my subconscious lens, how it actually got developed. When I say, that I'm able to feel things beyond my immediate space.
Our brain is a heuristic computing machine. And what does that mean? Well, how our brains work heuristically is when faced with a situation, a novel situation, your brain will scan the entire data set that comprises your memory and everything you've ever experienced. And it will, from that information, cobble together what it feels is the best possible result, the best possible course of action. They come into the game thinking that it's going to be something that they can very easily deconstruct and create a formula to deal with. And the truth is far different. It's interesting because I think that's why a lot of people are drawn to the game, because they think, okay, here are these rules that govern social interaction. And if I learn these rules, I learn these theories, I can protect myself. I can just, go down the flow chart and I'll never have to feel bad ever again. I do get a lot of engineers on boot camp, and I'm sure in some small part that's due to the fact that I live in Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area, and there are a lot of engineers here, and that's what attracts them to the game. This idea that it's something they can figure out. It's this puzzle, right? But in reality, game is not some simple arithmetic problem you could just plug quantities into to get a standardized result. An interaction is a living, breathing, dynamic thing where the variables are constantly changing in real time. Look, let me put it this way. In a given interaction, there are an infinite number of actions and reactions that can unfold, right? Within that infinite range, however, generalizations can be made and patterns can be found. And in order to discover these things, you got to have the largest data set that you possibly can. The larger your data set, the more accurate your observations are going to be. Okay? Put another way, massive repetition of social interaction is the only way to cultivate a noticeably improved level of social intelligence. You want to have that biggest data set that you possibly can to draw from. And so again, let me say it again. Massive repetition of social interaction is the only way to cultivate a noticeably improved level of social intelligence.
It's because of the fact that when I was on the road and let's say there was a burglary or there was something that was happening, I had to call a perimeter, which is a box. So which means that you had to go on the map and find out, okay, the city grid and create a box. Okay, so let's say the crime occurred here, you needed to call a box so that the police officer would come here. So they would be looking here down to here to see if the actual person came here, and then which is the street. So then you would call another box according to the map, an officer here and an officer here. Okay, you would put them there so that they can now, the officer who was here, they can now have view of here to see if the actual person, the suspect, based on the description, came over here or over here. Same thing for that person. They would be able to look. That's what you call. So you contain that person, okay? And then from there, you would use the dog. The dog would come and then see whether or not they could find him, or if the person, you know, jetted based on the description of the vehicle or whatever, you can have it. But guess what? That's your SC understanding all of this stuff. So after now, I'm not using the map anymore because I understand.
So cops, military, programmers, everybody running the physical world, they have to use SI. They have to use sensing in reality. It has to be real. No assumptions, no making jumps. Don't try and guess what's happening next. Don't connect it to something else. What are the facts? Please just put that down and go away.
And now it's like, okay, it was a stolen vehicle. Where did he go? You got to get that hunch.
Somebody that has NI as a demon, no matter where that falls in their function stack, they're going to always be over gathering the SC. So it's going to be this state of like, oh, wait, we don't quite know. We can't really narrow down. The picture's not complete. We don't have the full plan. We got to do a little bit more research with SC. We got to bring in a little bit more facts, a little bit more. Yes, develop all 4 of your functions. And then when you're done developing your 4 functions, start merging them together to create the effect of the other 4 functions that you don't have, and therefore becoming a very capable, well-rounded person that can get stuff done.
So now your hunch and your NI, your SC has to work together, because like, oh, there was a vehicle, it was stolen. Oh, I just noticed this. Where do you think he went? All right, hey, I think he's heading in that direction. But in your mind, you have to understand, and you have to have the bigger picture and anticipate where he might be going. So then now, guess what? You do this constantly, every day. When you're everywhere else you go to, you start thinking, I wonder what's happening in that other city. I wonder what would happen here. So now, and that's how you become a good police officer, because you practice, right? So if I'm here, something happens here, what would happen? You practice scenarios. What would happen here? You think in the future. Oh, okay, so if I was here, do I know? So here's an example. As a police officer, as you're driving, okay, in field training office, in field training, your trainer would say, stop. Where are you now? You have to know exactly where you are. And if you didn't know, they would have you run back to the last corner and then figure out and say, yes, I am at this location, whatever. So over time, that builds your SE. It has nothing to do with SI. It has nothing to do with intricate, complex issues. It has to do with the details of where you are, but it also fits into the bigger landscape of understanding. So that's why you see, like, I'm explaining all of this stuff to you.
Right? Let the garbage men handle the garbage. We're professional anglers, okay? We go after the big fish. Chasing them monkey strong, crackhead motherfuckers anyway. You know they'd have killed you without hesitating.
That's why they belong in prison.
For what? They got beat down, they lost their rock, they lost their money, their messages from Hillside probably gonna smoke them. I mean, Jesus, what more you want?
I want justice, right?
Is that not justice?
That's street justice.
What's wrong with street justice?
Oh, just let the animals wipe themselves out.
God willing. Everybody who looks like them. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. The good guys, they die first, right? Those school kids and moms, family men, they don't want to catch the stray bullets in the noodle. To protect the sheep, you got to catch the wolf. And it takes a wolf to catch a wolf, you understand?
What?
I said you protect the sheep by killing the motherfucking wolves. No, you didn't hear me. You listening, but you didn't hear me.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
Yeah, whatever the fuck ever. Hey, no matter what I say, you did the right thing. Reminds me when I was out there chasing down bad guys, rocking their world. That was some pretty amazing shit you did back there, right?
Thanks.
Yeah, I noticed you applied that chokehold, though, huh? I thought that was a no-no procedure, boy.
I was getting my ass kicked.
Yeah, and you did what you had to do, right? You did what you had to do. That's right. Ooh!
So she said to me, oh, well, this is her thing. Because she was confused. She was like, oh, I'm frustrated because I don't know why you're here to type. You want to be an INFJ or not? We're not here to, to toot your horn, whatever. So she says, you're very well grounded in details and seem to be to love and need them. I think you're extremely family-based and traditional than you are. You also struggle with NI. It doesn't work the way you describe. No one would describe it that way.
Look, you can't go out and have all your fun and all your amazing abstract concepts and figure out mysteries of the world if you're not willing to put in the sensory work. You got to respect the facts. You got to have your paperwork. You got to be clear. You got to make sure it's bolted in reality. You got to make sure other people can enjoy it too in the physical world. When you have that balance, you have all these great concepts and you can make them work in the sensory world, then you got the whole picture. It's so hard to do because those that are intuitive savior, that have that demon sensory, have the hardest time in the world of actually respecting the sensory.
Okay, it may take a while for the aha moment, but that's not how would you claim after looking at the details first.
And no matter how much you lay out to them and say, look, I get it. I know you think it's really about me. I know you think I'm that nuts. But if you actually look at what I've done, like if you didn't know me and you just saw what I've done, how would all that work and all these things be possible if I was who you think I am?
We talk here a lot about attention to detail. I know you do. You doolies hear it all the time. You guys are trying to train them. People told you the same thing. Most of the time you're going, why does this matter? You know, the fact that your socks are rolled a certain way isn't what matters. It's the fact that you pay attention to detail. Dave Meyer was flying as number 4 on an A7 flight in Turkey. We called him Yamu because it means little mountain, supposedly, in Japanese, and he was a big boy. Played O-line on the football team. One of the nicest human beings I've ever met. He went lost wingman when his flight went above the weather for a weather abort. Nobody really understood why he went lost wingman. They just realized later he flew almost straight ahead, probably looking up in the air for his flight because he couldn't hear him on the radio, and flew into the ground. In the investigation, they determined that his volume knob on his radio had been turned down. Probably when he bumped it with his glove, reaching for a switch nearby. Seems like such a little thing, doesn't it? Chico Lavelle was crouched on the front seat of his F-4 at Nellis Air Force Base, waiting to do a ground egress because they had a fire behind him. Somehow he and the backseater had gotten the terminology confused, and when one of them said get out, the other guy thought he meant bail out and ejected him. And he was decapitated by the canopy rail. Attention to detail. Is it important? You decide. But when you leave here, you better have it.
Okay. From Type Mind. Okay. NIFE, because she's an ENTJ.
The biggest bottom line with demon intuition, whether it's second, third, or fourth, whether it's NI or NE, is that the demon intuition wants to respect the known facts. Because the last time the known facts worked, and this time the known facts worked, people that have intuition as a demon, we tell them, hey, it's okay to make 10 guesses. They're so afraid to make a leap. They're so afraid to make an assumption. They're so afraid to make a guess without those physical facts. And we tell them, hey, with intuition, all we're doing is guessing all the time. We're wrong most of the time, and that's okay, because every once in a while it works out. So much of the demons are you're afraid to use them. You're afraid to fail. Nobody cares about failing at their saviors. Everybody's afraid to fail at their demons.
So that's why I have to do my research and I have to come back and challenge you. Not because I'm being defensive, but I like this. And that's why I say I thrive on it. Even when my first step, I was like, I thrive on this because I want you to pin me down. Because I'm going to come at you. Because this is what we do. We're like, we need to figure things out because I'm into people. I want to know, okay, so now by me you doing this, now I'm going to do more research and figure out how people are. That's how I work. That's what the INFJ is all about. It's not all about just sitting here and just worrying about yourself. It's about, yeah, you figuring about yourself, but then figuring out how you work against everyone else. So then I come back and I say, yeah, NIFE tend to have a rather large working memory, meaning that they can retain active consciousness of a large number of facts or details for immediate use. In the short term, they can have a remarkably accurate memory showing great attention to detail while still remaining the big picture. Now let me explain to you this, because she says to me that she said to me, She said, oh, you are extremely detailed when you study. I think true NI people are born at it. I've been told about this thing. I took this class called 11 at my school. I said, cool, interesting. And then when I was out, I forgot everything. I wasn't going to challenge the point of the class, but I promise you I never got to the point of studying. I also went with it because it was mandatory class and I wanted to enjoy it. It wasn't something I disagreed with ideologically. I just found it boring. The teacher was actually INFJ woman and thought more organized and strategy. I still don't know what to study means. I'm not suggesting that INFJs don't study, but that INFJs don't study that way.
You know how the modern idea is you're supposed to accept yourself. I think that's an insane idea, by the way. Really, I can't think of a more nihilistic idea than that you're already okay. It's like, no, you're not. And the reason you're not is because you could be way more than you are. And so what do you want to be? You want to be okay as you are? Or do you want to strive towards what's better?
You need him on this podcast. That's very important. It can be a huge theme of what you can learn from people's actions. You could change lives by having Shane on the show. The reason I do a daily vlog on YouTube is don't listen to what I'm saying, watch what I'm doing, right? Like if I'm going all in on Instagram stories right now and putting out 20 pieces of content a day, that means I think it's smart, right? If I'm going on the best podcasts in the world, not this one, but the other ones, others. Yeah, others. Yeah. That means that I think it's smart. You knew that he was a big time player and had a huge success and you watched it. I'm stunned by how many people would rather read a book than watch the behavior of the people that are winning.
Okay, and I said to her, I said, how I learn is that I need to read the material, go and do. Come back, read, do. She skipped that point. She didn't, and I'm like, bro, like, come on, you're an ENTNG. You're a thinker. You should be able to have noticed, that I actually wrote that because I wrote everything down so that you can have the bigger picture, so that you wouldn't be asking me all these questions. But obviously, you don't understand the bigger picture. That's why you come into these low-level assumptions. And I'm not being defensive. I'm actually pushing back at you because this is what's needed because I'm so passionate about it. But after that, I'd be cool with it.
So we can't determine someone's preference by looking at their behavior. We are, as human beings, are designed to stretch, adapt, and mold to our environment to be able to accomplish something or do something or get the result done or do what our boss expects, right? If you prefer perceiving, your boss may actually indicate that they want a scheduled timeline. What do you have to do? You're not going, well, I'm a P preference and I'm not going to do that because it's against my preferences. Right? No, you actually learn to stretch and use those J facets. It's incredibly frustrating because you do not know these people. You look at behavior and you assume a certain thing, right? How do you think life impacts the result of behavior? You don't want to force them into a box. That's not the thing. The real skill is removing your own interpretation and your own biases against this person and letting this person carry on with their type. Because as a professional, we hold a standard and a code, which is this is the furthest they're going to go. And the actual type verification is working with a practitioner. After that, there's nothing more official, which means what? Which means that if you give them the wrong type because of bias, that's unethical. They could spend the next 3 years trying to develop type based on what they believe about themselves, but it's wrong. So this is not, it's an unethical use of the instrument. It's an unethical use of application. It's an unethical use of interpretation and verification.
So you have all these pump and dump schools, okay? All these trade schools, it's like you learn something for the week, okay? According to the itinerary or whatever you call that again, to the module, you learn all these pages and then from there you take the test, boom, move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. And it's not only until the end that you get like a cumulative test of everything that you learned. So in the military, it's the same thing. But in the military, a lot of the courses that you learn right here, and then move on. You move on. But here's the thing, in the military, if you go on to like take on these new courses, or if you go to do military education, military education, or even leadership courses, and they spend money to send you away, right, for 30 days, 6 weeks at a time. That's money that the military is spending on you. You take these courses again, and it's high high pace, right? So you get involved in these classes. Okay, now you have, not only do you have to be able to study, you have to be able to do physical performance, and you also have to evaluate, and you have to, you know, be able to conduct peer groups and all that stuff. It's very, very, very fast paced. So you have very little time. So by the time you get to home, you have like all this time that you need to do all to get ready, your uniform and all this stuff, and for the inspection. But then while you have to study as well, so there's no time for just studying and hanging out and getting all the details. No, you just have to get your study cards, get everything in one note, boom, 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 get it, study in one swoop, take the test, and then that stuff just goes away because there's no cumulative test. It's just you take it, you dump it, and then you move on to the next week. Same thing. You learn all this material, Friday comes, it's the test. You have to pump all this stuff, pump, and then you move on, dump. So that's from 15 years. Okay, 15 years of dealing with that. You don't think someone's gonna change?
Second way you can change your identity is through doing short bursts of something in a window of time you've not done them before, and they change the thermostat temperature permanently, almost like a water line in the pool. So if it's a certain amount in the gym, or a certain amount of phone calls in your business, or a certain amount of appointments, you make a certain amount of money, oftentimes you're never the same again. You've seen this in your own net worth. I've seen it in mine. There became a point where I made a leap in a short window. I was never really the same again. I could go back a little bit, but not back where I was before. So it's activity or successes, achievements in short bursts of time. And then obviously our self-confidence impacts identity too, and we've kind of covered that. Those are 3 quick ways.
You see what I'm saying to you? So it was pump and dump. So that's why I use it. And I even said it. I said even now. So for example, I've had to take a class for my regular job, my civilian job as a federal employee. I went over to training, and for the promotion, it's a test based on the history of my department, of administrative duties, of punitive actions, all this stuff that I had to know, understand, safety and all this stuff, right? So, but guess what? It's just all that out of 900, I think 900 questions, out of possible 900 questions, they only give you 150 questions. So I had to now, I'm like, man, like, I don't even know this stuff. I haven't been, you know, working for you for too long. I've only been in for 4 years. A lot of this stuff I don't even get. So all of this information, boom, boom. So I had to organize everything, whatever, and I screenshot everything to get everything. So then I can now sit here, and now I can get the bigger picture instead of all the details. All I do is that I put everything into my computer, slowed everything down, and then from there, all I have to do is read the information, read the question and answers. So instead of actually going through it myself and going through the details, because I don't want to go through the details and read everything, because you're supposed to read the book. I'm like, no, I'm gonna take the app, record me doing the answers. Even if it's wrong, it doesn't matter. Then I'll go review. But as I'm reviewing, you can see, okay, the green check mark for the right answer. So now I screen record that on my computer. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, for all the ones, and I, you know, next. So by the time I'm done screen recording that, I put it into my computer. I slow it down. So then now I can now convert it into MP4. Because all of this I've used how? Through my previous experiences as a DJ. Now it's all making sense to you, right? Because if I wasn't a DJ, if I wasn't doing video edits on YouTube, okay, because now INFJ, you don't use technology? I mean, I'm saying this is like the logic that people are using now. So if you use technology for YouTube and you all this, guess what? You use it to your advantage. So I was like, man, I need to understand the bigger picture because I don't like details. I want one big thing. One big way of studying, not the details, one big thing. So I converted everything, slowed it down, so now I can put it on my laptop, but also converted it to MP4 so I can put it on my mobile. So now all I have to do is just play it. Play it, question number 1, I see the question and the answer. And then it goes, next one, question, answer. So now I'm just studying the answers. I'm reading the question, studying. That's how I'm reading. Has nothing to do with the details. There's nothing to do with the details. It's me just memorizing. So then when I see it on the test again, oh, I saw that question. I remember that answer because of the green. Boom, boom, boom. It has nothing to do with whatever. I just remember. So it's pump and dump. So I explained that to you. But then she came back and says, oh, well, the way you study is detailed. You totally don't get it because you don't use NI. You talk about, oh, that's not how you use NI.
which again is why I don't like the boxes. You know, I'm an ENTJ. I can totally relate to INFJs, right? I can totally get it, at least the ones I've met, right? INFP, same thing. My wife's an ENFJ. Awesome. Right? So I can relate to a lot of those different things. And I owe it to you all not to allow you, well, you can do whatever you want, but to at least inform you, don't go down this religion path of the Myers-Briggs is the answer to everything. I'm going to decide who I marry and where I work. I had someone ask me, can an INFP be a computer programmer? Absolutely. If you like computer programming, it's not a box. Now, by and large, do most of the INFPs I meet want to be, you know, coders? No. But how much of that is self-actualization? You've told yourself that story 1,000 times, so now you believe it. And how much of it is actually your personality? And that's where the kind of the balance is.
Okay, let me explain to you what ISFJ is. SIFETINE. Okay? Okay? SIFEs are very reliable and dependable, and they expect the same from others. It can be frustrating for them when they can understand and see the steps needed to complete the project, but others around them can't see to work the details that will be necessary, especially when it's people who they need help, who they need help from in order to accomplish their goals. Okay, so they can see the details. For me, I can't see the details. I need the bigger picture. Okay, SIFEs plan, organize, and execute their plans in a very linear fashion. When they put all their all into a project and have the proper resources, you can be sure it's very well executed. It can be frustrating for everyone who don't realize that some people aren't capable of being organized in the same way they are. Okay, they plan their stuff out. Okay, they have daily planners and all that stuff. Okay, they are able to implement and maintain highly complex systems and with incredible grace, whether it be looks like creating a way to manage all of their orders and customs for business, or keeping track of all their kids' activities for the week and finding a way to make sure everyone gets where they need to go. That's my wife. She's an ESTP. Forget about me and planning and all this kind of stuff. That's SI. I'm not that at all. Like I said to you, the only way that I plan is for events. Okay, I planned for, and I explained to her, one of the questions was like, oh, if you spend a weekend alone, would you feel lonely? I said, no, I wouldn't feel lonely because it's my alone time. However, I'm thinking about the fact that when I go out, I'm going to now experience certain things because I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be bored, right? Because we're humans. Just because you're an INFJ doesn't mean that you have to be a hermit and stay in the house. So I'm going to go out and explore, right? Because I want to stimulate my mind. Because guess what? We're real world. You want to be able to see and understand. Why is this like this? Why are people like this? Why is this city like that? What's with the, and I even said, I like understand, like, what do you like to do in your free time? I like to figure out how cities, texturize, themselves so that people can now conform to the cities. So all social, right? That's how I say. So I'm going to be able to, how is it? So because of this, that's going to lead to that. So, I see. Now I understand. So I said to her that when I do these things, I want to be able to understand the bigger picture. So then when I go out, I'm experiencing these things. I'm like, oh man, I wish my wife could do it. So then guess what? When my wife comes visit me, because it happened when I was away, I was on training, for my work. I was taking a class, or taking a course rather. And so she came out for the weekend. But I hadn't really experienced what I need to experience. But I was thinking, hey, in my mind, I'm going to go here. When she comes here, this is what's going to happen. She's going to come here. We're going to take the flight. We're going to do that. And that's how I plan our travels, like whenever we go on weekend trips. So I was like, hey, like she's gonna come and I'm gonna take her here, and I'm envisioning how she's gonna be happy and then this, that, and the third. So it's the same thing when we plan our trips. I plan every trip. We're gonna go from here to 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 here. But it's a plan that I'm doing. But other than that, I'm not a planner at all. The reason why I'm planning is because I'm hoping that she is going to experience what I've already in my mind played out. She's an ESTP. She lives, what do you call that again? in the moment. So I have to understand that. I have to work with her. I have to be mindful of that she doesn't like planning. So I said, hey, what are we going tonight? She will like, no, it's your job. She will never ever say, hey, let's go this, we're gonna go here. She's good with the kids. She has everything with the activities and this, that, and third, whatever. When it comes to dentals, forget about it. I don't even know. Even for work, I miss my appointments because I don't have it on my calendar. So I'm like, man, I gotta put it on my calendar. Like, I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to do it. I don't even want to put it on my alarm because I just don't like it, right? So she's like, oh, you're family based. Yeah, your tradition, whatever, just because based on that information. But you don't understand the bigger picture of why I'm doing that. Well, first of all, okay, so INFJs, just because we now, love our kids and families and we want to give them better experiences, now we're family tradition, that makes me an SI. You know what I'm saying? That means that I'm not NI. That means that INFJs would never feel so whatever. Oh, INFJs never get married. Like, this is the logic that we're using online right now.